Hey, BA475 class. I'm Sean Pates, getting ready to wrap this term up, just like the rest of you guys, and get this thing posted. Give you a little bit of quick background. I started at SOU in 1998, and I had an opportunity to open a franchise business with my wife. So I quit 4 classes short of finishing that up. I do not recommend that. So push and get it done. And we had an opportunity. I really just wanted to raise our son in Oregon. Didn't want to raise him where we were, so we decided to sell our stands and move back here. And here we go, kind of doing this thing just like the rest of you guys. Doing these tests was kind of interesting. You hear the same thing about yourself over and over, and you start to believe it. I think most of the stuff was in a good way, but it was really interesting. I really did not believe the results of the first 2 tests we did. The high 5 trait test and the Myers-Briggs. That wasn't really the light I saw myself in, kind of the roles that they defined me as. The high 5 traits, my number 1 trait was winner. I knew that I always kind of strove to win or, accomplish what the goal was. But then seeing it in the context of what that result is, it was really interesting. The other traits I had were peacekeeper, problem solver, self-believer, and optimist. I've always kind of been an encouraging person, always kind of wanted to be in the middle of things when I was with people. And as far as being an optimist, it wasn't so much like, glass half full, oh, everything's going to be okay, but it was more of course we're going to accomplish our goals. There's no other way to do it. That's why we're here, and so let's get it done. So to say I was an optimist, I didn't really see it that way, but when I put it that way, it made a little more sense, especially at the end of this term. My Myers-Briggs results were that I was an introvert, that I preferred small group or individual work, which didn't surprise me. I've kind of adjusted over time, started to enjoy more small group work. But when I was younger, I only wanted to work on my own. I didn't want other people to be responsible for my results, whether they didn't pull their weight or maybe I didn't want them being reflective of my grades or impacting me. But I've learned that in a work environment that can be a good thing. That I work with intuition, kind of look at the big picture, analyze what's going to affect one thing or another. Thinking and perceiving. I'm not going to dive too much individually at those, but it was really the description at the end was really accurate. It says quiet and reserved, loves rhetorical thinking, flexible and tolerant, logical and objective, and out of the box thinker. And I think that's pretty accurate, but I don't know. It was always kind of hard to label myself based on a personality test. And then as the term went on, we did our PIA assessments every single week. The first few were about multicultural issues. I was actually I don't know. I grew up in a small town in Montana and then moved to a small town in Oregon. So the multicultural experiences that I had were pretty minimal. But as I've grown older and spent more time in a business that was growing and growing, I really enjoyed multiple points of view. So it didn't completely surprise me. My surprise was based more on the lack of experience leading up to that. And one by one, as we picked these off, I was really surprised that the role that I really seem to prefer is to be in groups and be a leader and a validator and encourage other people's thoughts and hear people out. And whether they're right or I don't fully agree with their perspective, it was always fun to encourage other people's points of views and beat it up and see what kind of came out of it. So when some of the information that came up were that I was a supportive communicator, that I helped develop ideas, and even, in a constructive way, that I liked hearing, it kind of made me feel good because I do enjoy that. So I knew that was accurate. It says that I have an average ability of developing high performance teams, according to that PIA. I think that's something I can develop with experience because I do enjoy being around people. Being around more diverse groups of people, I think, will help that. And then just pushing and encouraging bigger thoughts and more abstract thoughts and solving different problems, I really think will help develop that skill. Uh, it turns out I'm a reflective communicator, which doesn't completely surprise me. I try to make sure that within groups I'm understanding. So I try to validate and verify what I hear before I move on and keep going. So that wasn't the biggest surprise in the world, but I think what I kind of learned is I'm good at being in groups. I don't love being a leader, and that actually came out in some of my tests as well. I'm not good at being at the front, but I love being kind of the encourager and leading from behind. There's a book called Leaders Eat Last. It's basically about being the last one to hear, because if you're the first one, if you're the leader and you say your ideas first, people aren't going to be open to straying from that, from kind of giving their own creative ideas or interpretations. And so if you're a leader and and you're the last one to speak, you've got all the input from all the other people, and people won't be afraid to give their points of view. Some of the last tests, as far as the innate leadership, I'm a people mover, apparently, and a creative builder. I'm fascinated by project implementation, which I really am. I do enjoy that. The startup projects is where I have the most enthusiasm. And the other main test toward the end, or quiz toward the end, I'm a conflict avoider. I'm conservative with change. I'm cautious and I need proof before I adapt to something. Reformer and an achiever. I like validation for compliments, or for accomplishments, not for compliments. And I look to make things better in the groups I'm in, how to improve them, and how to get a good end result. So it was really cool. It was a really fun project, and I'm glad I did it in this class. And hopefully we all got something pretty cool out of it. So yeah, 475.